Hello, everyone. Well, thank you for joining us today. My name is Shannon Thompson. I'm with the RVTTC, and I have a special guest here today who is going to share with us her rockstar RVT career and how she got there. Please join me in welcoming Ellyse Bacelic-Grgic. Sorry, did I butcher that? You're going to have to help me today. Oh, gosh.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me, Shannon. It's really awesome to be here. I'm in RVT. I've been a tech since 2008. My last name is Bacelic-Grgic, and I'm really happy to be here.
Great. Thanks so much for joining us, Ellyse. Our paths have crossed occasionally over the past few years, but more recently, Ellyse has actually been helping us as an advisory member for the RVT Career Navigator and sharing her experience as an RVT and an entrepreneur and bringing some new services to the veterinary community. And so we thought, hey, we need to share this and really give it a highlight. So I've invited Ellyse to join me, and we've got some questions that, and she's going to share her story. So does that sound okay with you, Ellyse? Are you good?
Absolutely.
Great. Well, thank you so much for being here. So we're going to start off with Lisa's. What is your business, and where did it come from? Where did it come from?
So we are Felix and Fido at home nursing care, and it's a little bit of a long story about how we got started. So I've been a tech since 2008 when I graduated, and I love the career so much. I never thought I was ever going to leave it. It was just kind of my passion, my baby. It was just everywhere I wanted to be. And then I ended up working in a clinic that shut down. And as it shut down, I had this other career opportunity that came about where it was something completely different. It was working more on the human medicine side of things, that we imported, manufactured, and distributed mobility and accessibility equipment for people with disabilities. So I worked in marketing and sales for that company, and I ended up becoming the vice president, and it was going really well. But I had never kept my foot out of the door of veterinary medicine. So I decided that I was always going to keep locuming because, again, it was where my dream was. But I found after a while, I would work a 4-hour shift with my regular job, and I would just be exhausted. And then I would work a 16-hour shift that was insane at veterinary ER, and I would feel more rejuvenated coming out of that than I was with this other career. So I knew that I was like, okay, it's time to come back home to my vet method and do this again. Yeah. So when I did, I just was able to look at it in a completely different light. Instead of everything's amazing and I love my career and I love what's going on here, it was, oh, we kind of have a lot of downfalls in this career. And one of those things, especially from working with people with disabilities, is I was in people's homes a lot. I was working with occupational therapists, and they were doing assessments, and there was a lot of home healthcare going on. And so kind of coming back into vet med and seeing, like, why don't we have a service like this? Like, why doesn't this exist? And then realizing that there was a lot of red tape for that to happen. So we started kind of initially just planning on how this would happen, what this would look like, and and if we're even allowed to do it. So we started. It's been like quite a process of getting it together and looking at the plan and what models are going to work. And then last year, my own dog ended up getting very sick. Coda, most people who know me know him. Anyway, so he ended up getting GDV. We rushed him into emergency surgery right away. Luckily, knowing the signs, I was like, no, we're getting him in. We're getting him in fast. And the doctors at my work did, and the entire team did an amazing job. They got him through surgery. He looked like he was recovering okay, but I took him home 3 days later, and he just started to really go downhill again. So I brought him back. Turns out he had aspiration pneumonia. Oh. And then we couldn't get a handle on his potassium levels. We had to do an abdominal ultrasound. We tested him for hyperaldosteronism. We were just checking everything. We had at one point 80 milliequivalents of potassium chloride in his IV fluid bag and giving him oral supplements, and his potassium was still going down. Yeah, it was not doing so well. So I talked to my doctor, and And she's like, Elise, I don't think this dog's gonna come home. Like, I'm sorry, but you might have to be making some tough decisions. And he was in the ICU for about 10 days at this time, and he was depressed, he was sad, and again, he wasn't recovering. So I asked, I was like, I understand, but can I take him home and try? Like, I just want to try it at home. And she said, because you're an experienced ICU nurse, like I'll let you take this dog home, but like I wouldn't let anybody else do this. I understand that if he starts crashing, you would bring him right back, and at least the signs to look for. But we'll let you take him home and give him a chance there. So I did, and that first night I brought him home, and of course I brought my mattress down to the floor because I was going to sleep with him on the ground. And my husband came out onto the ground too, so we were both sleeping on the floor. And then we wake up at about midnight, and our dog is just staring over our face, just smiling. And he was so happy to finally be home. So from the next morning, we finally got him to eat, and then slowly but surely he started getting better and better. And he just celebrated his 14th birthday like 2 weeks ago. So yeah, so he's still with us now. And we thought, how unfair is it that I have this opportunity that I can do these for my own dog at home, and other technicians can do this for their own pets at home. But other people love their animals just as much as we love ours, but they don't have this option. It doesn't exist for them. So then because of that, we're like, all right, I know we might be launching a little bit premature, but we got the okays to go for it. So we launched the pilot project in February, and it has been, a really rewarding movement going forward. So that's kind of how we got started and where we are now.
Oh, wow. That's, it's just like, everything we do is for passion and somehow passion driven. And it's just amazing that you can share that story. And thank you so much, Ellyse, for that. So I'm going to back up a little bit. Where does Felix and Fido come from? Where does that fit in?
Well, yeah, I was honestly going to do like Coda and Mala because those, my cat and my dog's name. But Felix the cat. So everybody kind of like associates cats with Felix. Or at least in the 90s. So that's where Felix came from. And then Fido, there's so many dogs named Fido. So I thought that Felix and Fido had a nice flow, and one of them is very cat to me and one of them is very dog. So I thought that would be easier for people to relate to.
So as an RVT, Ellyse, what services do you actually offer to pet owners in their homes? What do you actually do?
We offer there's a whole list of services that we can offer, but I want to kind of reiterate or state that we are not going to somebody's home to be a first point of contact. We are not going there to offer prognosis, diagnosis, make therapeutic decisions, or prescribe. So obviously if a pet owner, they've gone to the vet, they've already seen their vet, and they just have a newly diagnosed kidney cat, and they are having trouble giving the sub-Q fluids. Maybe they're really nervous about it. They got the demo at the vet, but they're really scared to do that. So that's when they would call us up and say, hey, I have my bag of fluids. I've got everything I need, but this is terrifying me, and I'm not comfortable doing this to my pet quite yet. So then we would go in and we'd walk them through it and be like, yeah, this is no problem. I'm happy to come here. We can educate you on how to do it yourself. Like, the end goal is to leave with the customer feeling satisfied and happy and confident in what they're able to do on their own. So we're essentially following the discharge instructions of whatever the DVM has told the client to do at home. And if that client is uncomfortable to do it, then we'll do it for them. So we'll do like medication administration, sub-Q fluids, sometimes do insulin injections. And then sometimes, depending on the doctor and the client relationship, sometimes those doctors will tell the client that, like, you know what, you have to come for regular bandage changes. So we're confident with you doing it at home. And then again, that's when they might hire us and say like, hey, I'm allowed to do this at home. So, we really prefer if you kind of come in and you do it instead.
So it's really helping pet owners to become an active participant in a safe and supported environment in their own pet care, right? Yeah, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's stuff that we're trying to teach them to be comfortable with anyways, and it just gives them that extra step to say, okay, we're gonna hold your hand, we're gonna be there for you, and we're gonna walk you through it. And then, of course, there's your regular appointments like nail trims. People are like, hey, I don't have to bring my pet to the groomer or to the vet to get the nail trims, or I have to do these anal glands every 3 weeks. If you came in into it and said, like, that would save my life. So we've got those appointments too, of course.
Great. So just to reiterate, that you're definitely within the regulatory requirements within your province, and it's under the direction or under the care of a veterinarian. Is that correct, Ellyse?
That is absolutely correct.
Okay. Just
Yeah,
want to make sure it's clear.
Yeah. No, I mean, it definitely is. There's some provinces that, allow you to have a little bit further scope than others, but that's going to be kind of for you to know on your own provincial level. And then you're going to have to make sure that you're following into that. Like, our business model is that you're stepping into the role of a caregiver. So again, that we're not misleading the public to believe that we are the vet. We're not playing DVM. I think every tech, well, especially every tech that's working with Felix and Fido, we're happy to be technicians. This is what we want to be. This is where we are. We don't have any desire to go play doctor. So, I think that's really important for the general public to know too, that we're stepping into the role of a caregiver. We are not an extension of your vet. If you have follow-up questions, those need to be addressed to your vet. We can't make those therapeutic decisions for you. We're an extension of yourself. We're not an extension of your veterinarian.
Okay. That's a really clear delineation. So you mentioned you're the Felix and Fido team member. So you have RVTs on your team, is that correct? And how does that work? How do you connect with RVTs?
So we've there's been a lot of organic connection that people have seen us and reached out and said, hey, I'd like to learn more about it. Or we've reached out to some people on LinkedIn and just saying, hey, your profile looks amazing. How do you think about furthering your career in this sort of aspect or this way? So it's been pretty organic, and we'll have a technician kind of reach out to us, and then we get their certification number. We make sure that they are in good standing with their provincial, or we're in the US now too, their state authority. And then we make sure that everybody has been at least 3 years experience. So, and the reason that we do 3 years experience is because of kind of the regulations that I was just chatting about. And when we have new grads, we've all been there. You're not as confident in what your abilities are and when to say no. And so we don't want anybody to be in that position to have an owner bully you into saying well, just tell me, and then you get overwhelmed because you're well, I know the answer. And it doesn't matter that you know the answer. You need to be very confident in what your abilities are and when to say no. So that's why minimum of 3 years experience. We love it when people are fear-free certified. Obviously, that is a huge bonus. That's a bonus for pet owners. And when you go into that house and you can talk to them, then and you show them that compassion, that level of care, and that how what we're doing in your home is also what we do in the back at the clinic. We don't want to stress out your pet. That is not our goal. So it's nice that we have people like that who are being the face for veterinary technicians to kind of be there and say this is we're the silent hero in the back, and we're ready to show you what we do.
Great. So I'm going to ask the question everybody's asking. Well, so how does payment work, or how do wages work for your RVT team members? How does that work?
So one of the things that was really important to us as well when we were working on the business model for Felix and Fido is that technicians leave this career within 3 to 5 years. And, we have enough technicians graduating every year, but the shortage is insane. And it's because people don't stay in this field very long. The lack of recognition gets to people. Obviously, the burnout is insane. And then a lot of people are not making a livable wage. So we wanted to try to find a model that would support flexibility in your schedule and kind of taking control of your wages a little better. So the technicians on our profile, what they do is they set up what services they're offering, and they'll list the price that they're going to be charging. So for instance, if they're going to give injections for $30 or anal gland for $45, yep. Then they'll list that fee, and then the pet owner is going to pay all fees up front. So those will get the pet owner will see what services that technician is offering. They'll request to book them, and that fee will get paid up front. The veterinary technician accepts the booking, and then they go to that house, and then as they once that service is complete, the pet owner marks it as complete, and then that money is automatically deposited into the pet's bank account minus a 10% fee, and then we just keep the 10% fee. So essentially, all of our veterinary technicians are getting 90% of everything they bring.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, we really wanted to make it so, people, like, I guess essentially what we want to do is create this platform where, veterinary technicians can say like, okay, like I want to utilize my skills, I want to advance my career, but I really don't know where to begin. And, I don't want to be working for another corporation that just kind of like takes everything.
Yeah.
So, and being a tech myself, like I'm pretty aware of what other technicians want or need or, are hoping for. So
yeah.
I really think we can provide it with this.
Yeah. Yeah. So kind of like when you have RVTs going into people's homes and such, so how do you ensure the safety for the RVT and the pets and the owners when you're outside that clinical environment that we're used to and we have so set up for that purpose? How do you facilitate that in the homes?
Yeah, so first off, the pet owners need to be confident in how to restrain their animals. So we might teach them, kind of briefly how to restrain their animal, how to keep them comfortable, what we need from them. If that doesn't work, we do let them know that we don't want to go in there and stress your animal out. So if I show up and your animal is extremely stressed, he's frantic, he's running around, then this visit might just be me kind of sitting on the floor and him getting to know me for half an hour. And then the next visit we'll try again. Or if I, go to somebody's home and they didn't disclose to me that they have an extremely aggressive animal and this animal is lunging at me and they don't have a muzzle on it, then I'm just going to leave. And, we do have multiple disclaimers too for our pet owners that if there is a situation like that, where you didn't disclose to me that your pet is aggressive and you've just expected me to show up to your house and then I've done my part, I've done my job, I've come to do it. Like you're not going to get reimbursed for that. The technician is going to get paid for that because I'm sorry, but we didn't just waste our time to go over there. Like, and we need to be compensated for doing our side of things. And if you're not willing to work with us, then we can be aware of that for future, and then maybe you can talk to your veterinarian about getting something for anti-anxieties or trazodone or gabapentin or whatever it is that your vet wants to recommend, and we can work with you. But we're not going to be in a situation where we're going to get injured or hurt. And the same thing goes with if you show up to a client's house and if they're drunk or they're belligerent or they're harassing you or they're just making you feel uncomfortable in any way, leave. Like you don't need to put up with that. And again, just write us a small note, say what the situation was, what happened, and we'll make sure you get paid for that. Because if somebody's harassing you, then that's not your problem.
Okay.
And we don't want you to think that it is. Yeah, exactly.
What a great relationship where an RVT can have control of their career, their schedule, their what they offer, their payment, yet they have the support of your services that take care of the organization and the money's part, as well as kind of like the rules and what's the expectations and such. So what a great marry. That's so exciting to me. I'm really excited. So as an RVT, a couple of things I wonder. So I'm going to have a twofold question. One, in each province as an RVT, you are legally responsible for your actions. So what type of coverage or do they have insurance for their themselves while they're providing care? And what other types of resources or equipment are they required to provide themselves as the RVT?
Yeah, so great question. So as far as insurance goes, we have insurance coverage for Felix and Fido as a whole. However, because we are only taking the 10% fee, all of our RVTs are known as contract workers, and there is not an insurance coverage around that allows coverage for me to say like, okay, like I'm going to cover our company and all the contract workers. So because of that, everybody needs to hold their own professional liability insurance. And then luckily, the RVTTC, especially in Canada, has, or I guess only in Canada, has coverage for technicians that you guys have a group rate that the technicians can get their professional liability insurance. So I mean, luckily, we can use you as a resource when it comes to that.
That's if you don't have it already. Like some provinces do. I know Ontario does. Yes. I'm from Ontario, so I'm familiar with that one, but I'm not exactly familiar. But some provinces only provide you insurance when you work inside the clinic. So I think it's really important that if you are working outside a hospital, that you really investigate to find out for sure what you're covered for and what you're not covered, to make sure you're going into any of this or any other situation protected as a veterinary professional.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Cool. And then as far as equipment goes, so I personally like to have I've got my own nurse bag. I like my own things. Like I'm very particular about different, things that I like. So I've got my ear cleaning solution that I like. I got the swabs I like. I've got the cotton that I like. So it's just me, like I like certain things. So we do have that. However, because you are going into somebody's home who everything that you're doing for their pet has been prescribed, so you don't need to worry about like your needles and syringes, or if you're giving an insulin injection, because that owner would have gone to their vet. They have that equipment, and then they're just asking you to be an extension of themselves, and they're asking you to do it. So there's no reason for you to be having a whole bunch of all this medical equipment that you have in the back. However, like I said, like I like having my own things. So I personally do have, my own equipment. I've got, and then you've got some of your standard things that you probably have, like gloves and baby wipes and maybe some lube for your anal glands. There's like a whole slew of things that you could get. Now we are working on, we're not there yet, but we are working on opening up a limited supply branch, so that we can order supplies through the Canadian supplier and say like, hey, like these are our techs, this is their technician number. If they want to order some of these certain supplies that are, that are over the counter, not prescription related, that you could get at the local pharmacy or the pet store, that we'd be able to get it to our techs wholesale instead. So that's something that we are working on.
Oh, great. That's wonderful. Super. I always think I like my own sharp nail trimmers.
Yeah, that too. Like, oh man, when you go to somebody's house and they have some of the like whatever brand that they've just bought, and you're like, oh, no, I'm not using that.
Oh, that's great, Ellyse. I really love, we've covered a lot of different things and stuff. And how can RVTs or even pet owners, how can they find out more about Felix and Fido services?
They can send us an email at info@felixandfido.org, or they can reach out through the platform. We are in the middle of rebuilding a new platform. It's going to be amazing. I just wanted to shout out that this is our pilot project launch. It's, did a great job to get us out there and learn what the RVTs need and what the pet owners want. And now that we know all of that information, we're just fabricating something that is going to work so beautifully within, the entire industry. We're really excited for it. So bear with us on the current platform. There are some downfalls on it, of course. It still functions, it still works. Like people are still able to book our techs on it, but it's just not as user friendly as we'd like it to be. So you can reach out to us on the platform itself, or easily send an email.
When you're making your own and it's unique, and that it takes a bit of time, doesn't it? So it's a worthwhile investment in time. I hear you on that. So kudos to you for that.
Yeah.
For that, sure. So if you're an RVT that's interested in engaging, do you have any areas in specific? Does it matter where you live, or what do you suggest for RVTs that are interested in this?
If there's any RVTs interested in this, then we definitely, we'd love you to reach out, and then we can work with you on how to grow your clientele in your area. We are advertising in people's areas who, we do generally about like a 3 to 10 kilometer radius, and just kind of shooting advertising right where you are. Yeah. So that way we can help build your clientele that way. However, as I tell people, but when you're building your clientele, the best possible thing that you can do is build personal relationships. Like when you go to a vet, or if you're working with a certain vet and you want your cards out on that table so that they can refer you and recommend you, it's a lot easier for them to do that when they have a face with that name and they've worked with you before, or at least they know and trust you. In the same way with us, that there's, some vets that we absolutely love, and we'll tell all of our friends and, all new clients to go to them. And there's some where you're like, ooh, yeah, don't go there. So, it goes both ways. So we, the vets have to have a trusting relationship with us if they're going to refer their clients to us.
Well, that's great, Ellyse. I'm gonna ask you one more question. I know we're getting on time here, but I do have one more question. As an RVT looking to start your own business, Is there a piece of advice or a tidbit that you would recommend to someone, whether it's home services or whether it's something else? What would you recommend to an RVT considering to become a business owner or an entrepreneur? What tidbit would you advise?
Don't jump into it. You know, take your time. Like, is as exciting as new things are, you want to make sure that all of your I's are dotted, your T's are crossed, and you have everything ready, because the last thing you want is to, you know, start this wonderful business and you're happy, and then somebody come up to you and tell you, oh, actually, you don't have the proper insurance for that, and or, you know, this is an issue here. Like, you don't want your dream to be crushed before it started, so just make sure that you have those in place before you get going, and then keep going. Like, don't expect it to grow overnight. Like, there's going to be, you're going to have to work hard for it, and it will be worth it. So just keep going.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Ellyse, for your time today. This has been fantastic. I just love hearing RVT career stuff. Just makes me so excited. I mean, I've been an RVT myself for 30 years, and I still believe that my saying is that as an RVT, you're only limited by your imagination. And I just love to hear your imagination and where it's taking you, Ellyse. And thank you for today, and good luck. And I look forward to seeing you around sometime.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It was really awesome talking to you, and I know we'll chat again.
All right. Take care, Ellyse. Thanks, everybody. Take care.
Bye.